listening to Between Two Bridges, a business-to-business podcast. With your hosts, Anthony R. Destiny, Joe Ferrani, and Jerry Kenna. Interviewing entrepreneurs, business operators, and investors. This episode of Between Two Bridges is sponsored by Paymark Payroll. Payday is the most important day to your most important people, and payday is made easy at www.payyourpeople.com.
We're here with another episode of Between Two Bridges. I'm your co-host, Anthony R. Destiny.
And I'm Jerry Kenna.
And Joseph Ferranti.
So we're rolling into May. Almost halfway through the year, believe it or not. Where's that year go? Joe, how's your year going?
We're right on track, I guess. I mean,
on track, huh?
Yeah, I don't know what track is anymore.
Yeah.
So I woke up this morning, I went to work, so I'm on track.
What time you get up? What time's your day start?
You know, it's funny because I was always like a non-morning person, and now I've become a real morning person.
Yeah.
But I'm not like a real morning person at home. Like I'm a get up and go. Like as soon as I wake up, I'm out the door, but usually about 5:30, 6 o'clock nowadays. Yeah.
Are the kids up?
No, I'm out the door before anybody moves.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're get up and you're out the door.
I'm gone, yeah.
See, I need my time. I get up before anybody else.
Nice.
I go, I make a cup of coffee. I sit, I have my spot. I drink my cup of coffee. I got to wake up.
Yeah.
And
are you on your phone?
Most of the time I'm, either social media or reading through, news articles or,
Yeah, when we had
TikTok,
Sean on,
whatever.
He talked about that morning routine, and like I try to get into that, but like I always feel like I'm more productive at work. I got a lot, like my stuff's a lot of hands-on stuff.
Yeah.
So like I get there, I make a cup of coffee, get the machines running, and then I kind of do the routine of the computer, check the emails and stuff. But
do you shower in the morning, Joey?
Shower mostly at night. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Because the shower, the whole routine of the shower can wake the kids up.
Yeah.
And that adds time.
Okay. It adds time.
I'm like a ninja.
Yeah. See, my thing is I a lot of times I have to work late. So I try to make it so I'll take the kids to school in the morning. So, and we live close to the school, so it's just walking across the street.
Huge commute.
It's we still almost get there late every day. But no, that's my routine. I get up and I kind of have my time, have two cups of coffee in the morning. If I sleep in and I don't have that time, I'm a mess the whole day. But I'll wake up, have my coffee. I'll make the kids breakfast. I usually I don't like sending them to school with a bowl of cereal. Like I think that's like the worst way to send your kid to school. So like I'll try to like make eggs and try to give them something. Yeah, I think they do. But I'll make them eggs or something in the morning and then get them up. And by the time they get up, there's breakfast ready. Their vitamins and toothbrushes are ready to go, and get them out the door, and then I'm out the door. Occasionally, I'll have to have something early, and I'll have to bounce in the morning. But most of the time, I usually get them out the door, and then my day starts. But yeah, I got to start. I usually start my day early, but it's usually just me sitting on the couch, drinking my coffee and waking up.
Black, or what are we drinking, Jerry?
You can't
just straight black. Joe, what are you drinking?
I go through phases, man. I go through phases.
Okay.
When I was drinking a lot of McDonald's coffee, I had to add something to it. Because we have a McDonald's right next door. But like as the first of the year, I started just getting K-Cups.
Yeah.
And if I got time, I'll spruce it up a little bit. But mostly just black.
Yeah.
If I'm drinking regular coffee, it's black. But if I'm going to like somewhere to get a coffee, I'll get like a latte. But like I would never put cream in my coffee. But I'll drink a latte. No.
Have you tried it?
Yeah. I can't. Don't like it.
Right.
What about you, man?
I'm a cappuccino guy, so frothy milk, a little bit of cream, a little bit of stevia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, if you heard that phone ring, that was our producer that bitches at me all the time.
He's checking the cameras.
Comes in and checks the cameras, and his alarm goes off.
Has to put them in the refrigerator so they don't overheat.
Yeah, no, I'm a black coffee guy.
Okay.
Can't ruin it. Certainly not with sweetener. Ugh.
Yeah. Well,
Ugh.
I don't know.
My parents always drank. Me and my brother.
I haven't
laugh
had
about
breakfast in a long time.
it. I don't do breakfast either.
No.
I can't do it.
There's all kinds of studies out there.
I know.
Some say you should have the largest meal early. Some you should fast.
Yeah, I don't know.
My day is so busy from like 6:30 to noon. I look forward to lunch. Lunch is my shit.
There's a lot of days that I'm like, oh, it's dinner time.
Yeah.
I guess I should eat something today.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I had somebody that worked for me, and they were a big lunch person, and every day they'd be like, what are we having for lunch? What are we going to do for lunch? And as soon as they said something, I'm like, I'm hungry.
yeah.
But if I'm working and I'm going, like if I'm at the house, like Sunday I was jackhammering and doing all this crap, and it was like 4 o'clock, and I was like, I guess we're eating dinner, so.
Yeah.
You buy lunch for your employees, Joe?
I will, on occasion, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we recently had someone that was leaving, so we did like a lunch, let them pick the lunch, and then like we'll do on sporadic occasions, like Mike and Tony's opened up in the North Hills, I'll do that.
Oh.
Good spot.
Yeah.
I've not been to the North Hills one, but when I worked downtown, which is like the original one,
The OG.
the OG on Liberty Avenue, Mike and
Still
Tony's.
open.
So
yeah.
they have like 7 locations.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike and Tony's gyros they're some of the best around.
And the other thing I'll do is like if I want pizza, if I'm in the mood for pizza, you got to order everybody pizza.
Yeah, you can't
You
just.
can't just, because I'll house a large pizza.
Yeah,
You can put down a large yourself?
I could do about 8 slices.
What's on your pizza, Joe?
Pepperoni, mushroom, banana peppers on the regular. Like that's usually my go-to.
wow.
But my favorite pizza we had here the one night was the Veltry's white with pepperoni.
Shout out, Veltri.
That's good. Yeah.
Different.
Jerry, what are you ordering?
I don't know, man. Usually I'm ordering with the kids, so it's plain or
It's up to
pepperoni.
them. Yeah.
Bastard kids.
Goddamn kids.
I guess brings us to our first topic. We have an article that came out recently. So the living wage for a family of 4 in Pennsylvania is roughly $225,000.
Yeah, so it actually was. They actually went even more specific. It said Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
They actually did the study.
I guess Philly, yeah.
Yeah, they actually did they did the study around the entire country, and they listed several very expensive areas of the country. And I think a lot of people were surprised not only at the overall number on how expensive it has become to live, but that I think we've all just accepted the fact that some of the most expensive places to live, New York, California, Hawaii,
Right.
that they weren't even the number one. The number one was Massachusetts. And then on top of that, the sheer number that a family of 4 in Massachusetts, in order to live comfortably, was over $300,000 a year. And I mean, I do tax returns for a lot of people. Pittsburgh's number, to be more specific, was $222,560. I do tax returns for a lot of people, and that's a lot of money. There are a tremendous amount of people that don't make anywhere near that, even with a family of 4. So it just goes to show you, Steve made a comment right as we had a cut to clean up the flood. And he was joking around about Genoa salami, but just the crazy amount of inflation that we're dealing with right now and how expensive it has become to live, and to see a number like that, $222,000. And I'm sure there's a lot of people listening to this right now that are like, holy shit, that's a lot of money. No wonder we feel like we're struggling so much.
Yeah.
$222,000. Now, the way they did this calculation, because I think a lot of people were probably a little confused by that, and we kind of touch on that. They called it the 50-30-20 rule. Okay, so 50%, they're saying that if you take your entire gross income, 50% of it goes toward your essentials, like your housing, your utilities, your groceries, your fuel, your essential living expenses. 30% would go to hobbies, vacations, just kind of going out to eat, things like that. And then 20% would go toward paying off debt, retirement, savings, things of that nature. Using that equation, that 50-30-20, in order to be comfortable as a family of four in Pittsburgh specifically, which is where we're from, so we know the most about this economy, $222,560 to live comfortably. And then, obviously we know, and people listening know, Pittsburgh is also very, very different in the different neighborhoods that you could live in. There's there's neighborhoods in this town that 222 wouldn't get you very far. And there's, of course, neighborhoods in this city that 222 would get you quite a home. So I guess they probably, like we kind of were chit-chatting about it off air, they're probably looking at your average home price. Allegheny County has some neighborhoods in it that the average home price is very high. So they're probably looking at it like that. So that's going to swing it upward in the Pittsburgh area. I'm sure Philly was probably even higher, maybe pretty similar. But there's certain, your average home price in this area is pretty high. I'm sure that's what's driving the price in Massachusetts, is that the home prices are just so high. Places like New York and places like that as well. But just everything has gone up. I mean, you can't go to the grocery store, even just stopping for a couple things on your way home, you're going to drop $100.
Yeah, that's what we were saying. Mm-hmm. It's easier to just wrinkle up 100, throw it in the door, and go home and make grilled cheese. But I mean, I think with that number, that 30% was like leisurely activities.
Yeah.
Like, you factor that in. It's $60,000 of leisure a year.
Yeah.
So I think that's where a lot of people, like our friends and acquaintances, who the hell's $60,000 a year in luxury items?
Well, and then,
we know people that are.
Sure.
You don't have to.
Here's something else that you're not taking into consideration. And I read a bunch of articles and nobody wants to talk about. These are gross wages, right? Mm-hmm. So $222,000, a family, that's a married couple with 2 children.
Right.
Okay. So married filing joint making $222,000 a year. You're in a 20% tax bracket.
Right.
Okay. So Pennsylvania is also 3.07% for income tax. Local tax, you're probably at 1%. So you're talking 22, 23, 24% of that is going to the government just in income tax.
Right off the top. Okay. And then don't forget, Allegheny County has a 7% sales tax on most goods. You're paying a fuel tax. There's taxes on everything, your property taxes. So that 222, there is a huge percentage of that money that is going back to the government in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
So 222 is your gross number that you are never going to see. That is just the top number that, don't forget, about 4 or 5 months of the year, you're working for the government.
Right. We talked about that before, yeah.
For free, yeah.
For free.
So we got, 60 roughly off of that number?
Do the math. So 222, 560, and let's just be conservative. Let's take sales tax, gas tax, property tax. Let's take it off the table. Mm-hmm. Let's just look at income tax, and let's just call it 25%. So $55,640 of that is going to your federal, state, and local taxes. That doesn't count Social Security and Medicare tax. It doesn't count your unemployment tax. So, you factor that in. Let's factor that in. Okay, so you're 25% for income tax. You're at 7.65 for Social Security and Medicare.
This episode's getting depressing.
Fucking right it is. So now you're at almost 33%.
Right.
Okay, so let's go back to that 266,560 times that. So $87,000 of that 266 is going to taxes before you get your paycheck.
Right. And you remember like the last election, I'm going to tax everybody that makes more than $400,000 a year. And it's like, they're already paying, that's what, at 220? They're already paying twice that. They're paying $160,000. How much more can you ask someone to pay?
Okay, so the take-home pay on 226 or 222 rather, I'm sorry, 222 is a little less than $180,000. Okay, so now let's take that 50-30-20 rule of that. Okay, so $180,000. So they're saying that leisurely activity.
We had a flood here 2 weeks ago. We're about to have a fire. Jerry's burning up.
So now you're at $54K for leisurely activities and hobbies. Okay, $180,000. So $90K is your household expenses, which is your house, your mortgage,
homeowners, cars.
Yeah, your vehicles, your groceries, your fuel, sending the kids to school.
So what should a car payment be? Let's try and break it down for people.
And that's changed so much too.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about inflation there. I mean,
remember $525. If your payment was $525 on a vehicle, you were driving a really nice vehicle.
And now you're lucky if you're spending $700-800 a month.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you see all these people that are driving these brand new big SUVs. They're paying $1,000, $1,100, $1,200, $1,500, $2,000 a month.
We've done that because we have a 2018 Explorer. I mean, low miles. And I was like, maybe it'd be just nice to get something newer. Kids are older. And then you look at it and you're like, I'm going to ride this one until it dies.
You're going to spend $1,000 a month for an SUV.
Yeah, you got to clear a lot up to be.
That doesn't include gas, brakes, insurance.
Yeah.
Right. When your mortgage payment's 2 and your car payment's 1, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You know, I saw a thing today. It was like, why is it when you see a guy, with a $1,000 truck out there working, you kind of look down on him, but he has $80,000 in the bank.
Yeah,
but a guy that has $80,000 in the truck with $1,000 in the bank, it's all relative. It's I always have thought that Pittsburgh was a very affordable area to live.
It was rated the most livable city, right? For all this time.
But I also think that the media, not to sound too like conspiracy theory, they take the things that are near and dear to our hearts, right? The cost of living, the wages, and they just pump that. Like, there's a lot of these reports that come out annually about things that we never see because the media didn't latch onto them and say, they all have this, like, what can we do to rile people up? And, and this is what it did to us. We started texting about this a week ago, and that's what they're doing. They're just, but the common person needs to know you can live, because what it says to like an employer is everybody wants to go into the office and be like, I need a raise. This is what the media is telling me it should cost me to live.
Right.
You need to pay me this. And it's like, well, I own the place. I'm not making anywhere near that.
Right.
So I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So think about that too. Like, one thing when we were growing up, you didn't talk politics, right? No, like parents and adults. And then the other thing you sure as hell didn't talk about is what you were bringing home, what you were making. But nowadays, the media, all they do is talk politics. And they sure as hell put on the paper right here saying, this is what you need to make. So everybody's talking about what they're making.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not disclosing real numbers, but there's still grumbles about, I'm not making that. So everybody knows who's making above that because they're not saying, well, I'm not making that.
And you're also creating anger.
Yeah.
Right. Because anger, one thing that we've learned over the last few years with social media and with, not to dive deep into politics, but a lot of the controversy over with the election, with the media involvement in the election, social media and the news media, is anger. Emotion gets anger. The emotion of anger is what gets people involved in things. If you put out a news article with a headline that is a positive headline, you're less likely to get somebody to click on it than if they're pissed off about it. Right. So when you have somebody that is struggling because a dozen of eggs is $6 or whatever it is, and, or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now, so somebody is struggling because it's so expensive to buy groceries and they can't afford their car insurance, and gas, it's $110 to fill up their tank with gas. So they're irritated because they can't make ends meet because they're struggling right now. And then they get this article that says that in order to live comfortably in Pittsburgh, you have to make $222,000 a year. So now they're like, well, no fucking wonder. So now who are they going to blame for that? So you have to wonder, you're exactly right. What emotion are they trying to trigger with that article? And who are they trying to get you pissed at? Are they trying to get you pissed at? And it, honestly, in my opinion, it comes down to who did the study, right?
Yeah, right.
Are they trying to get you mad at the people that are in power right now? Or are they trying to get you mad at your employer that they want you to feel like is underpaying you? What are they trying to get you to feel? And I'll tell you what, like I just had this conversation with somebody. I used to every morning, part of my morning ritual is I'd put the news on.
Yeah.
I don't do it anymore. I used to sit in my office all day and I'd have like a business news channel on. I don't do it anymore because it affect my mood. Right. Like I would be freaking miserable all day. And it got to the point where I felt like I watch it and I couldn't help but think like, what are they trying to get me to feel? What are they trying to get me to believe? No matter what channel you're watching, what are they selling me?
100%.
And and honestly, like, you know, obviously I'm a little biased because I'm sitting here on a podcast, but I kind of shifted to listening to more podcasts that are hosted by people I trust.
And you align with, you know.
Exactly. That I have the same.
That's what you're allowed to do. That's what makes America great. But when the main media is putting these things out,
yeah,
it's bad for everybody.
Right. And the main media, unfortunately, are bought and sold by these big advertisers.
Yeah.
Whether it's pharmaceutical companies, whether it's whatever it is, right? That they have to say what they have to say, or else things change for them overnight. Where if you listen to a podcast that doesn't have to answer to these big advertising companies, you're not necessarily, I don't know, I don't feel like I'm necessarily getting brainwashed when I watch them because I'm just listening to people talk.
Yeah, you see it in the comedy world right now. Like we had Matt Light on. He's talking about like these guys are putting their own stuff out. They don't care what the studio is saying.
Right.
They're going to do what they want to do. And that's the beautiful part about living in America. So I always I kind of dumb things down and so I can understand them a little bit. But politics to me is no different than the Steelers versus the Browns. So if you feel a certain way, you're going to be a Steeler fan through and through. And that's the way. You don't care what they do. You know, they had Mike Vick as a quarterback. No one batted an eye in Pittsburgh because, okay. But if the Eagles had Mike Vick, everybody in Pittsburgh would say, oh, what the hell are they doing over there?
Yep.
So you're not going to convince someone that's a Steeler fan for 30 years to be a Browns fan, no matter what the Browns do.
Yeah.
We're just never going to root for them.
This country is so divided politically, ideologically, that they've got their team, they've got their side.
Right.
And it is so divided that they're just looking for talking points on whatever side of the ball they're on.
100%.
And it's gotten to the point where I couldn't subject my brain to it because it was too hard. And I was watching news channels and just kind of got grossed out because I'm like, I feel like I'm being they're manipulated.
Right. 50% of the people on my phone, Joe Biden could cure cancer and balance the debt tonight. And 50% of the people on my phone would be like, well, fuck him.
Yep.
He cheated. You know? And then and Trump could do it from the outside world, and 50% of people on my phone would still vote for Joe Biden.
Yep.
It's just the way it is now, and it's not the way we were raised. It's, you know, my grandmother taught me this principle, and I've said it on the show before. She said, everybody and everything fucks strange to someone. So like just because it's not normal to you doesn't mean it's not right.
Yeah.
But the news, they can't sell that story. I mean, well, obviously for reasons, but they need to keep us talking and be like, did you see that story on CNN this morning? Like that's how they get their money.
They need to keep us angry.
Right.
That's how they keep us talking. So a lot of these articles, I agree, they're to keep you angry. I saw the article on Smart Asset. I'm not sure what they were trying to accomplish. And the 50-30-20 rule, I don't know how many people are putting 20% of their gross income into anything, into any sort of savings.
Right. In a perfect world, yeah.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, we would leisurely spend $54,000 a year.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably do. I just don't. Don't realize it.
Yeah.
Icy Light's not that expensive. I would have liver cancer at this point.
Pizza, Icy Lights.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Is like, are you taking your family of 4 to Disney once a year? Are you going out to eat 4 nights a week? There's.
Sure.
I mean, my kids are just eating butter noodles. That's all they want. What am I going to do? Take them down to Lamont?
Yeah.
So, I mean, but there are people that like to travel and they have jobs that allow that. Could you imagine taking 4 vacations a year, Jerry?
No, I don't know how. No, I couldn't do that.
I don't.
Not for weeks at a time.
No,
Yeah.
and not with my family. I mean, maybe 2 with them, 2 without. Like everybody gets a 2-week stint.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's a crazy time, and I do know that we are dealing with a crazy time with inflation, and there is something to be concerned about with the amount of money that it's costing everybody to live. But
well, I don't think the cure to inflation is making employers pay more money, because that just fuels the problem. So like you were talking earlier, like what do we do to combat it? Well, I can't. Okay, I'll pay everybody that works for me $100,000 a year next year. That's fine. But guess what? The product that goes out the door is it's gonna be $70 to get a shirt clean.
Yeah.
right.
And then if Macy's is paying everybody $100,000, so
You got McDonald's at what, 15 an hour? That was a big, you were touching on.
And then they cut staff.
News articles. Now it's all, I have to order my own food.
Right. They minimize their staff.
Exactly.
So
Like
like,
with a touch screen, I don't even talk to somebody anymore.
I'm not an economics major, but this always has made sense to me. So years ago, it was a penny for a loaf of bread, right? And then it went to 10 cents. And then it went to $1. So you just, every 20 years, you slide the decimal space.
Yeah.
Nobody's making any more, but we're just spending more, and cash is more fluid,
Yep.
So, I mean, my grandparents put an addition on their house. They bought their house for $3,750. Their mortgage payment was $5.25. 30 years, it's $52.50. 20 years, it's $525. Our kids will probably pay $5,000 a month, and that'll be a modest home.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're almost there now. I mean, there's a lot of people in Allegheny County that are paying $5,000 a month for a house.
Right.
Yeah.
In a lot of neighborhoods. But here's the thing, because nobody wants to talk about it, a big part of that is property taxes.
A huge part of that's property tax.
Huge.
Yeah, I mean, you can actually, Allegheny County controls so much of that if they were to double your property value overnight, you have people that are selling their houses because they can't afford them.
Yeah.
You've accomplished something that everything they tell you growing up, buy a home, and then boom, you get nailed. And the backside of it is like, if you rent, you don't have to worry about that, but you have a landlord, and then when they raise we talked about this on the last episode, they raise your rent after 2 years, and you're like, this guy's just a jag-off, But no, the county raised his mortgage twofold.
42%, I just did the math, 42% of my monthly mortgage payment is property taxes. 42%.
Yeah, Allegheny County, Riverview School District.
Yep.
I'm in the same boat. It's absurd to look at that, what your interest payment is. Like, and they say to pay more, and I get that. You
gotta
pay it off.
down. Yeah.
But I'm under a new principle. I was sending an extra $500 a month, and I was like, you know what? I'll just send it like lump sums, instead of, I don't know. It just mentally feels better to me. Like, I'll pay, because I was trying to like pay an extra $2 a year. So instead of doing that, I'm putting the money aside, and I want to send like full payment instead of little payments.
So
it just feels better. I
don't
think.
do that.
Don't do it. Just keep it set up the way it is.
Yeah, I did want to ask you this.
So with compounding interest,
yeah,
it doesn't work, but it does not work better that way.
Okay.
You're better off taking, if you're going to send an extra payment a year, you're better off taking that
12.
payment and dividing it by 12.
Well, that's what I did with the 2 payments. And then I was like, I'd rather just see it like on the line.
I know, I get it. But you're better off paying a couple $100 more a month.
Right.
times 12 months than paying it all at one time, because the interest gets decreased quicker because you're paying down that principal. So the next month's interest payment is less. So you're actually, and I don't have the math in front of me and I'm not going to try to wing it, but it's drastic where you can take a 30-year mortgage and take it down to like 18 by adding an extra payment a year, but dividing it by month.
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge.
Mr. Cooper.
Maybe I'll do a little video someday and actually do that math.
Yeah.
But it's a huge difference.
One way to get ahead.
The information that's at our fingertips is like unbelievable, because you can go a lot of, like, you log into your mortgage.
Yeah.
And you they'll have it right on there. You know? So
no, there's websites that you can go to that you could just Google.
Right.
You know,
you gotta go halfway down though, because the first 5 you're gonna end up refinancing on accident. You're like, fuck. What's this soft credit pull?
Yeah, what did I do?
I mean,
why do you need my social security number?
We talked about it earlier. I'm at a high rate because of when I bought, and that's a lot of money. Just a couple points on the interest is a significant difference, and I would hope that maybe the feds are listening.
Yeah,
and they kind of loosen up a little bit, but the banks are leveraged. Everybody's leveraged. It's easy to sit here and be like, well, why is everybody charging so much? Well, it all starts somewhere,
Yeah. So let's do that math real quick, just because that's easy. Just to give somebody, because I don't think not everybody might have that figured out. At its lowest, people were getting 30-year mortgages around 3%. Okay. So let's say you had what did I put in here? $400,000 mortgage. Okay. At 3% for 30 years. Your monthly payment, not just principal and interest, $1,686. Today, at about 7%, it's $2,661. That's $1,000 more a month for the same house.
Right, and that factors into the $222,000.
Goddamn right it does.
So if you were locked in before this, your $222 is now $12,000 less.
And that plays into why the housing market is so messed up right now, because everybody expected when the rates went up that the market was going to crash, but nobody wants to sell their house,
right?
Because they can't afford to,
right?
Because where the hell are they going to go? Because they either have to downsize, or their payment's going to go up $1,000 a month just to stay in the same size house or the same dollar amount house. So they can't afford to leave.
Right.
So you're seeing people that are like that, maybe they're struggling, but they're going to prioritize that $1,600 payment because they can't afford to lose that.
Right. I mean, even in my situation, like, my house is appraised at a lot more than what I paid, but $12,000 a year adds up quick.
Yeah. The other thing that's interesting too is, I don't know if you've looked at all. I looked because I'm just always looking, but a lot of housing listings, not a lot, but I've seen a lot of some housing listings now where they're actually putting in the listing whether it's an assumable mortgage, which you didn't see very often, 5-10 years ago. But a lot of mortgage companies now and a lot of sellers are using that to market their homes. That, hey, I've got a 3.5 or 3.75% mortgage that's assumable,
right?
Which would mean, if I owe $300,000 on my house at 3.5%, but I'm asking $400, if you could come to the table with $100 in cash, you can take over my mortgage,
right?
Now that's not for every buyer, because not every buyer is going to be able to, first of all, qualify to take over that mortgage, because you still have to requalify. And two, you have to have the $100K to make up the difference. But that's all of a sudden come into play now, where there's people that are selling houses and basically selling their mortgage with it.
Yeah. The banks won't like that too much.
The banks don't want it because the bank wants the new mortgage.
Yeah, they want to approve you for it.
Right. The banks wants the new mortgage. They want that 7%.
Yeah, they're going to be like, nah, you don't qualify.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. It's a weird world out there, man.
Yeah, we say it all the time, and like COVID's changed a lot of this, but I don't know. Maybe it was coming either way.
Yeah, I don't know.
Everybody has to have that in the back of their mind, that we're on the brink of another setback like that.
Yeah, I mean, it happens, every 10 years or so. We had
financial the bubble, .com bubble was early 2000s, and you had the real estate crash in 07.
You slide the decimal point, you know?
Yeah. So, like you said, when our kids are our age, what are prices going to be? You have to make $1 million.
Yeah.
It's like,
but you'll make $1 million working at Macy's selling shoes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it never really equals out, you know, because like I grew up thinking like, oh, wouldn't it be awesome to be a millionaire? Well, you could be a millionaire now, and you're not living like a millionaire did 20 years ago.
No,
you know, you might be a millionaire and you have a house, you have a nice car, you're a member of a club. Yep. You know, these things are like, even like club memberships are up, everything's up.
Yep.
So because during COVID, everybody flocked to that country club environment, so they were able to raise their prices. Like for a while, country clubs, right? For a long time, country clubs were closing. I mean,
so I know that. I knew that. I didn't know that.
Now there's wait lists.
Really?
Yeah. People have shrunk down the way they want to do things, and I don't know. Maybe without people being able to travel during COVID, they had more money. I don't know if that had something to do with the clubs, but definitely.
I wonder if it had something to do with the clubs had more leeway with all the rules.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was that's just crazy. You're playing golf, you're not allowed to touch the flag stick. Like now you can leave the flag stick in. You just have to take it out. I'm like, I'm going to die golfing because I touched a flag stick.
It's fear.
Yeah.
Fear,
I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't a thing. I'm just saying that like, the aftermath of it, you know, has been incredible. So.
No, we touched on this before, Jerry, but what could, we mentioned the biggest expense is taxes. What can people do?
The problem is that's the other thing too, is that, you know, tax rates haven't gone up. Tax rates haven't really changed, to be honest with you, since Trump was in office, since the Trump tax cuts, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. The changes that were made for that, you know, there's a lot of media talk about how that it only benefited the wealthy, and honestly, it didn't.
The super wealthy.
It really didn't. There was a corporate tax cut. There's a qualified business income deduction, but that helps even sole proprietors that get to deduct 20% off their business income when they're calculating their taxable income. So it helped all business owners. But then there's limitations like on itemizing for your itemized deductions. There's a state and local tax limitation. So you can only deduct $10,000 for state and local taxes. So prior to the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, when you're itemizing, you could deduct all of the state and local taxes that you pay on your W-2. You could deduct all your property taxes, unemployment taxes that you pay, local service taxes you pay, any taxes that you pay besides federal Social Security and Medicare. You couldn't take those. But now that's capped at $10,000. Well, who's paying more than $10,000?
Not too many people.
Wealthy people.
Yeah.
So those are the people that are negatively impacted by that limitation. Now, since that tax cut went into effect, Congress has been arguing, and that happened in 2018. It's 2024 now, and they're still arguing about eliminating that cap. I think that it's supposed to expire relatively soon, within the next few years, but just on its own. But there's a lot of things in in that tax bill that really didn't benefit the wealthy, so to speak. One thing that didn't benefit that hurt a lot of people is that you can no longer write off business deductions if you're a W-2 employee. So I do taxes for a lot of union guys, guys that drive their own trucks. They can't write off mileage anymore. Guys that have to cover their own tools, pay for their own material, pay for stuff like that. Sometimes pay for their own lodging. None of that's deductible anymore. Traveling salespeople, none of that's deductible anymore. Now, you've seen some employers have stepped up, bought company vehicles, because to the employer it's still deductible, but not to the employee. So you've seen some employers that have stepped up. I thought it was interesting. Certain unions, it was almost like, that first year, guys were coming in and they were like, I can't write off my union dues. I can't write off my truck anymore. I can't write off this. I can't write off that. And then there were a couple union guys, like certain trades, that all showed up in shiny new company trucks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, they got your back. Those companies got your back.
Yeah.
They saw it coming. And they were like, yeah, these guys are going to be pissed, so we better get them some fucking trucks because we expect them to drive. So they're going to get trucks and gas cards because we're going to lose them.
Yeah.
Some guys, though, they got it on the chin, man. And that's just the way it is. But so to your point, the problem is that at that kind of income level, there's really not a whole lot you can do.
Right.
You're limited to what you can deduct at that point. The standard deduction for a married couple is in the high 20s. So most people now, especially with the state and local tax deduction limitation, aren't itemizing anymore. They're taking a standard deduction.
Yeah.
So, extra charitable contributions, unless you're giving away some serious money, is not going to get you there. So there's not a whole lot you can do. My suggestion to people in that income tax bracket is maximize your retirement accounts.
Oh, yeah.
Because that reduces your taxable income and that helps you.
That goes back to our follow the dollar and where you can take your tax breaks. They want you to put your money. They want the middle income bracket to put their money into retirement.
That's what they want.
So that way 15 years from now when they pull the plug on Social Security, you're good. You're okay. We set you up good. We gave you the breaks where
that's
you needed them.
That's really the only break you can get nowadays if you're in that kind of income bracket, because 222 as a married couple, at that point, they've already put you over what you don't qualify for. I believe you're already over the amount for student loan deduction. You're over the amount for any sort of education credits if your kids are going to college. You're already over the amount for any sort of IRA contribution. So it's
time for them to slide the scale.
So it's funny, like 222, 560, that's what it's going to take for you to live comfortably in Pittsburgh. But according to the federal government, you're wealthy.
Yeah.
Wealthy. Not comfortable, wealthy.
So it's time for them to slide the decimal.
Yeah, and that's the big problem, is that with all this inflation, there was an adjustment to the tax tables at the beginning of 2020 for this tax season. But in my opinion, it wasn't enough, because inflation has far surpassed any adjustment that they made. It just has.
Well, this has all been great news.
Great news.
I'm so excited to go to work for Uncle Sam tomorrow morning.
Well, it's May, so this is the month where we can actually start working for ourselves.
Yeah.
This is month 5, so now we're finally starting to work for ourselves, and we're not just paying the government.
And now a brief word from our sponsor.
This episode of Between Two Bridges is sponsored by Paymark Payroll. Are you tired of spending countless hours juggling payroll calculations, tax filings, and compliance regulations? Well, say goodbye to that chore and let Paymark Payroll take the burden off your shoulders. With our secure online portal, you can access your business information from any internet location, even your phone. Employees will love the ability to receive direct deposits, and they can access all their pay stubs, tax forms, and information through their own portal. Focus on growing your business while we take care of the rest. With top-notch customer support, we're always here to assist you with anything, at any time. Don't let payroll stress hold you back. Choose Paymark Payroll and experience the freedom to thrive. Contact us at payyourpeople.com for a personalized consultation and a demonstration of our powerful payroll solutions, and see how Paymark Payroll can better your workflow. That's payyourpeople.com. Join the growing list of satisfied businesses that have embraced the convenience and efficiency of Paymark. Payday made easy. Your business deserves nothing less than the best, and that's exactly what Paymark Payroll delivers. Now back to the show.
Brings us to another topic, and I guess I'll try and tie it together. So we've had a lot of people take the leap from W-2. We've laid out the math here to their own endeavors, entrepreneurship, starting their own businesses. There was an article a couple of days ago about non-competes.
Yeah.
And touch on that, Jerry, what that actually means. So
yeah, it's interesting.
Take a union guy that wants to go start his own business.
Yeah, it's interesting. In Pennsylvania, we're a little bit unique because non-competes really don't have any teeth here and never really have. A lot of employers tried, but a non-compete agreement in Pennsylvania was never really very enforceable. In Pennsylvania, you could never prevent somebody from making a living in their trade. You could have a non-solicitation agreement. You could make it so that they couldn't take clients from you. But it was very hard to get a non-compete to hold up in court to prevent somebody from doing business in, for instance, like within so many miles of your company or something like that.
Yeah, that's funny. That's because when we did ours, whenever you're buying another business, that's really the only validity you can have is you can make that distance far enough from you that it doesn't impact you.
Right.
But you can't say like you're not allowed to contact X, Y, and Z. You can't get direct with them. They're very vague, and like you said, the very bottom of the line, it says you are unable to allow them to make a wage.
Yeah, you can't prevent somebody from making a living
can't
wage.
be like, I'm sorry that you are not making money doing your new endeavor, but you can't ever dry clean clothes again. Because they're like, I can't make money doing anything else. That's what I'm good at.
I guess an example. So carpenter in their union, you're saying, used to not be able to do carpentry on the side.
I guess there are some states, and I guess based on my reading of this, and Pennsylvania is not really one of them, but the FTC made a ruling. It was the FTC, right?
Yep, Federal Trade Commission.
Made a ruling that a non-compete is no longer valid, starting, I believe, in July. July?
Yeah.
Basically saying an employer is no longer allowed to forbid an employee from going out on their own and starting a competing business or getting a job with a competing company. Most of the time it was like, if I hired you, I could make you sign an agreement that says that if you ever left here, you couldn't work for one of my competitors for X amount of years.
Yeah.
Like I said, in Pennsylvania, they never really held up, but nationally, I guess they could. The FTC has decided that they are no longer allowed to happen. Now, on an employer standpoint, you're still allowed to have a non-solicitation. You're still allowed to say that you're not allowed to contact any of the customers that we deal with here. You're not allowed to snipe customers or clients. That's still illegal. Obviously, no IP, intellectual property, things like that. But you can't prevent somebody from making a living. From an employee standpoint, this is a win. It's a great thing because it allows people to go out and make that leap. There's a lot of people that are working for somebody else that would like to do it on their own and, maybe can't. And, if you're just starting out, you can't necessarily afford to hire an attorney and fight some big corporation that might try to take you down because you're trying to start up your small business. And I've heard of a lot of stories where there's people that had to do that. And
just that. Yeah.
Yeah. And
there's an example in here. A factory manager in Florida, took a job at a rival company for a better job, bigger raise, lost the job because of a non-compete that he signed. It took 3 years. The legal battle wiped out his entire savings.
Yeah. So, that's awful. You don't ever want that, especially for something like that, because he was just getting a job at a different company.
And it's piss poor judgment on his case. Like, it's not like that was the last job. Right. Like, you're going to fight something for 3 years.
Yeah. But
There was probably more to that story, but it sounds good in the media.
It says an estimated 30 million people or 1 in 5 workers are bound by non-competes. The new rule could boost worker wages by a total of $300 billion a year, which leads to our first topic of inflation.
Yeah, just keep passing the buck down to the employer.
So that's the thing, though, is it? And I saw some media coverage of this today, and I actually saw one that was saying that there were fast food workers that weren't allowed to work at other fast food places, right. And I'm like,
Trade
really?
secrets,
Do you think that like McDonald's is like, no, you can't go work at Wendy's?
Secret
like
sauce.
It seems silly to me. I think that there's, again, this is a little bit of media twisting to think that this is a little bit more of a widespread problem than it is. I think that it's definitely a win. I think that there's employees out there that would otherwise go out, start their own business, and, you know, maybe go get a better job somewhere if they weren't bound by those agreements. And as you know, how I'll consult with my clients if they come to me is, well, first of all, call an attorney because I'm not one, but that, in my opinion, it's, you know, you need to take out any sort of non-compete language in your handbook. But any sort of non-solicitation is fine. Leave that in.
And it comes down to like what I think we're lacking more than ever is common sense.
Yeah.
Right. Because this is big news, and the wages are big news, and inflation's big news, but it's all just common sense.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to tell someone they have to pay more wages, they're going to charge more for their product.
Of course they are.
There's inflation. You know. Yeah. If you're going to tell someone, if you're going to spend your whole life savings to go get a job working in a warehouse to make an extra $5,000 a year, you're lacking common sense.
Yeah.
But you made for a great news article.
Yeah.
Goes on to say that
it was $1 million increase in pay. Well, then he's a genius.
So not to, I guess we'll bring gender into it, but it's supposed to impact the gender gap in terms of income. So entrepreneurship fuels job creation, innovation, and wealth. However, less than 20% even have one woman on the founding team. It's pretty wild.
Repeat that stat?
So we look at entrepreneurs, less than 20%, so 1 in 5
are females. I wonder what that number was 10 years ago.
Women start companies earlier in their careers than men, have been paid less than men despite working in the same industry.
They're the business owner?
Mm-hmm. Second, most new ventures fail.
Yeah. Wait. Well, if you're the owner and you're not making as much as a man, don't you think you need to raise your prices?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to sound chauvinistic. It is harder for a woman, though, to be in business, 100%.
Right. Non-competes make it harder to hire talent with relevant skills, further hampering startups.
Right. I mean, I know some very great business owners that are women, and it's harder for them to get ahead because people don't take them serious. You know, it's hard probably to hire top
stories on here,
top clients, or top recruits. You know, if you're 20 years ago, if you're a man and you're looking for a job, unfortunately, a lot of those guys were like, I'm not working for a woman. I think it's getting better. It's not where it needs to be, but who am I to judge? I mean, a woman runs my life. My previous to Sarah running my life, my grandmother ran my life. I mean, I have been in the control of a female my whole entire life. So
it's worked out.
Yeah, it worked out all right. I mean, some people just
good.
need better upbringings, you know. It's just I'm 40 years old. I wouldn't mess with your mom, you know. And if your mom was still with us, sure as shit wouldn't mess with her. You know, we have a friend and Brandon's mom, Robin, like, was like, you didn't mess with the moms.
Nah, that's old school Verona, man.
So they put a big price tag on living in Pittsburgh, but locally, man, we are just a little different. We talked about this before, but like, it's different. So, I mean, I don't know. I just think that the government just keeps putting their hand in everywhere they can. And this is just another example. Like, the lawyers aren't going to like it. They don't have, I mean, there's a big market for this kind of work that's gone. in a blink of an eye.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they can charge you $5,000-$6,000 and you won. Congratulations. Now there's none of that. So
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Our government keeps these attorneys busy.
yeah, there'll be something else. Yeah.
What else? What else is in the news? So we got we'll go to sports, I guess. Reggie Bush got his Heisman back.
Did he?
Did.
That's progress.
So I guess 15 years ago he was getting illegal benefits on his name, image, and likeness, which is now allowed
Right.
by all athletes. So they're all getting paid at the college level. I don't know if that feeds inflation because before weren't allowed to make money as a college athlete.
yeah,
Now they're getting millions.
A local donut shop's got to give a kid that plays tailback for Pitt $65,000 in name, image, and likeness into their advertising budget. Now the donuts are $1.25 instead of $1. It's as simple as that. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, I'm
So
not.
it's good they're getting money, but again, that feeds our inflation arguments. So how does that? What do you do?
Well, they're
there?
going to want more money when they go pro, so the tickets are going to go up, the jerseys are going to go up. It's just
So they can't get paid. How's that work? So I'm not,
Sure.
I didn't follow that. So
you
they
don't have any big time college clients.
no.
All right,
So
where's-
they don't. So they don't get paid from the university at all, besides free school.
They
which
used
is-
to not to. So
which
you
is
could
worth
not-
$1 million
You
now.
cannot take any money from a booster. Period. So boosters help fund
The program.
college athletics. You could not take a kid out for a meal. Couldn't buy his family a house. Maurice Claret went to jail for it for taking a car. Right.
Right.
Reggie Bush's family, I believe, his parents were put in a house for 3 years in California because they wouldn't have been able to afford it. NIL deals came out a few years ago, so now those college players can be paid by boosters to go to their school. They can transfer immediately, go to a different school for more money. There's video games out there. You had to play with number 3 from USC or number 5 from USC instead of Reggie Bush. Now their names.
And
Or in
EA
video
Sports has to pay
games.
them to put them in the game.
Their
The good one that I always
names are
heard.
on jerseys now, so they're collecting millions of dollars in college as opposed to waiting in the pros,
Yeah.
being
It's-
on financial aid.
Used to be like a booster would own a car lot
Yeah.
and then give a guy a job like being a lot attendant for
Right.
like $85,000 a year, and all he had to do was show up and sign some autographs.
Right.
And that's what these guys got caught
Terrell
doing.
Pryor.
Terrell Pryor was
Famous
what
case.
trading his
Jerseys.
jerseys for tattoos.
Yeah.
You know what it's just, once again, the colleges don't want to lose control of the athletes. That's a huge NCAA football for college is the largest market they have. So now if the schools are like, we have to pay on top of the boosters, I mean, I think college football is going to the wayside. I think it's going to be like a minor league sport.
Yeah.
I think eventually that, 5 or 6 schools will break free and like we're paying $12-15 million a year for a quarterback. And do you want to go to Notre Dame and play quarterback because it's the pride? Or
They've
do you
gotten
wanna,
rid of the conferences slowly.
Yeah.
There's super conferences next year. There's 16 team leagues basically.
And the NCAA is constantly calling the government saying, you need to step in here. You need to help us out. We're losing control.
Nick Saban retired over it.
Right.
That's his main reason.
I think as an employer, you kind of like, maybe I am a little defensive to all this stuff coming out because you're like, I need to be able to afford people to work for me. You know what I mean? Like I can't.
Yeah.
But at some point, maybe, we're just supposed to all be equal. Everybody makes $550,000 a year no matter what you do. And Jerry's tax season will be easy because he's just signing the dotted line because they're all the same.
Just
they're
rubber
all,
stamped.
just got rubber stamping them all.
500K.
Yeah, 500K, everybody.
500K.
And if you want to buy a nicer car than a normal car, it's $8 million. So you better figure out how to make more, So I don't know. It's just mind boggling to me that like, wasn't so long ago, these weren't problems.
Yeah.
And what's frustrating to me is like, these aren't problems until you put them on the news and until you make regulations. I mean, you always were going to buy a car and it was going to have gas in it and you didn't feel bad about it. But now when you go to buy a car, you gotta look and I don't know. They're just forcing things down our throat, which trying to be polite about it. But I don't know. The cream, like I said during COVID, the cream will rise to the top. No matter what you do to try to level the playing field, there's always going to be people that find a loophole or find a way or work harder or think smarter, and you can't adjust for that.
No.
People will beat the government. It's just going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
So, like, the non-compete might be going away. The non-solicitation will get stronger.
Yeah.
But they're not doing that for people that are working at Subway that got a chance to be the overnight manager at McDonald's.
Right.
Because if that's the case, then shut Subway down and shut McDonald's down.
Well,
yeah. And honestly, the non-solicitation is hard to do too. Because, for a business like mine, it's
there's no contracts.
Well, right. There's no contracts, and it's all about personal relationships, right?
100%.
And
you think yours is word of mouth, or like how do you attract new
word of mouth?
Yeah. Number one,
vast majority.
Joe,
of my
you think it's word of mouth?
Mine's location. I mean, with the physical store, it's people aren't going to be like, hey, what are we going to do Saturday? Wake up and drive 35 minutes because I heard this dry cleaner is just so much better than the one down the street.
Yeah, I guess so.
My home delivery is probably a lot of word of mouth, how awesome it is and like how easy it is. That's probably, I'm trying to change that because like entering into this new space, I've like met with like local magazines. Like there's a Stroll magazine. Yeah. They do like in neighborhood magazines where they'll put like your family on the cover and then local businesses inside. And I got to start doing that stuff. But like you were saying about like, okay, so you have someone that does tax preparer for you and they go work for Acme tax preparers and someone really liked them. You're not going to take her to court because Jim Smith was like, I really like Michelle and I'm going to go down the street with her. It is what it is. It's business. But if she came to you and said, you're now out of business because I sent 7,500 emails out to everybody that I worked with.
Then you sue.
That's when you sue. So I mean, common sense plays a part in this.
Yeah, and it also depends on the client too, right? I mean, but it's all about, so it depends on the client, but it also, and hopefully my employees aren't having bright ideas.
Listening.
But like, if it's John Smith, the tax client, it's going to be $180 return, and I'm going to lose them because they went with my tax preparer that left.
Oh well.
If the client that pays me a $3,000 a month retainer to do all of their finances leaves me, that's a bigger issue. But at the same time, if I wasn't providing the service necessary to make that person feel like they wanted to stay here and they were better off going with her or them, that's on me.
Yeah, you take it on the chin.
Then, I mean,
I mean, if my pants presser left tomorrow for a better job, I would say good luck to you. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that's the human level of business that you have to have. And if you want to be so shrewd that you hide behind non-competes, then I'm glad this happened and piss off. That's your problem. If you're going to jam someone up legally for bettering their lives, pay them more money.
I mean, I've taken clients, I've taken big clients from people from other accounting firms that, one of their accountants left and that client was like, without that accountant there, I don't want to work with that firm anymore. So I'm going to go with you.
Yeah.
And now it wasn't really a non-compete situation because I didn't bring that accountant here. They went on to a different, different line of work. But there's no, I mean, it's a professional thing. I mean, it shit happens.
It's a human element in everything in life.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, this client had a better relationship with the actual accountant that he was working with than with the owner of that company. And the way that client approached it was, if I'm going to start fresh now, I would rather start fresh with Jerry than start fresh with another accountant at that firm because I've got a better relationship with Jerry than with somebody I don't even know at this firm because, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and the FTC knows, like, if you're working with like proprietary information, you can't take that with you. I don't care what, you know what I mean? Like if you're working on
it's intellectual property.
Yeah, if you can't, so like they're just touting this out there.
Yeah.
To kind of, I mean, and maybe because we are locally, Pennsylvania is a non, like you said, has no teeth here. Maybe we haven't experienced it like through friends or family going through it, but it's common sense. It's human nature to want to better yourself. Yeah. And if you are a boss of somebody or an employer of somebody and they want to better themselves and you can't give them that same opportunity, well, then you wish them luck. You buy them lunch on the last day and you wish them well down the road.
Yeah, especially if you didn't provide that person, if you gave them a reason to leave, if you didn't provide them, like if you brought them in and they want to better themselves and you couldn't provide them what they needed to better themselves, then it's on you, man.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think like back to like if you have employees that are all driving broken down cars to work and can't afford to buy a new car, and that's on you too. You know, that stuff sits with me. Like I don't know. But not everybody's like that. You know, a lot of people are the Ebenezer Scrooges of the world. Like piss off, you know, but you work with your people. I work with my people side to side every day. And everybody needs to win, you know, or else it doesn't feel like winning.
Yeah.
You know? So speaking of inflation and cost of everything, I think I made my last payment to my son's preschool today.
Oh.
So, and both of my kids have gone there.
That's huge.
So
you're done.
Look at that.
Now they're in the public school.
I'll put that money towards the tax bill. that goes into the 50 number.
No, I mean, that number's crazy for me right now. I'm looking forward to kindergarten.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Yeah.
So.
Congrats, bud.
How long is it for you?
He's turning 4. So we
next year.
One more year.
September. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next year, 2025.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I mean,
that's $300 a week. So
it's one of those things that
mortgage, dude.
Yeah, it's just one of those things too that you can't, when you own a business, you can't write that off. That one you got to take right out of your personal account.
Yeah.
I don't think the school wants to see checks coming in from Flexors or Doro cleaners.
Neither does your accountant. It's hard to hide
they
that.
They put that under owner discretionary spending, right?
Yeah.
That goes on your tax line.
Fringe benefits.
So, but yeah, and so that'll be cool. And I'm looking forward to him going to school 5 days a week. I think he needs it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all men need structure. I think it's just...
You putting him on a bus or dropping him off?
Him and his sister will be on the bus.
That's right.
Our school is like a mile and a half.
So it's not bad.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So, but, you know, knowing that he's my son, he'll probably steal the bus. Like I'll get an automated message like Reese was not checked in for attendance today when she's late.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'll be getting a call. This is Officer Stanley with the O'Hara Township Police, and we last spotted your son driving bus 781 down 28 North.
Who's the bus company?
ABC Transit.
You're gonna find out before the police do.
Yeah. The funny thing about it is like that. Being involved in my daughter's school, like we've talked about before, that is a huge cluster, and they get it right every day. Like, I don't worry about my daughter getting off that bus.
Yeah.
And that's between the school and the bus company and all the moving parts.
It's amazing.
Yeah. It is an amazing feat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How many more years you got walking across the street, Jerry?
So my son's in 4th grade, so 2 more for him.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter's in kindergarten, so
okay.
I just saw Vince. He's gonna.
You gonna let him walk down the hill, or are you gonna drive him?
I'll drive him.
Yeah.
Vinny's gonna be at Riverview High School in 2 years.
Yeah. Believe that?
Time flies.
Fast.
So fast, dude.
Yeah, so we're at a K through 5, 6 through 9, 9 through
middle
12
school
district. Yeah, which I don't know, didn't bother me either way. But
yeah, everybody we talk to from outside of our district is like,
what the heck?
7 through 12. That's crazy. 7th graders with 12th graders, and I'm like, yeah, when you're there, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
like they must have kept us separate enough. I don't remember.
Well, I don't know. I was probably in 7th grade drinking beers with seniors, but that was just me.
I
But
remember
like during the year, like I don't think we had lunch with them or
No, I don't think so.
I think one of the things that they did too, though, is like we had like older kids in our gym class. They were our gym teachers.
Yeah, I saw a few people
that was kind of unique.
take dodgeballs to the face.
Yeah, some of our
I remember being in gym in 7th grade, like at the very beginning, and being lined up against the wall. One of my first memories of 7th grade. And seniors, I guess they were seniors, walking by, and I remember one going, "I don't think I was ever that small." I remember, and I'm being like, "What the fuck? What is going on right now?"
You were, prick.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess these things will be topics, just like we talked about. There'll be water cooler topics.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you got to carry your own weight, and I don't know what the weight's going to be, but you got to carry it.
Still got to do it, regardless.
So
yeah, I'm in the thick of some shit right now that I have no control over.
Yeah.
So I'm going to see this month. Going to see Jordan Peterson. He's coming to PPG Paints.
Oh, nice.
And we're talking about our kid and our son, your son that needs structure. Mine does too. And reminded me of this. So one of the things, and I don't know if you ever follow any of his stuff? You ever see any of his stuff on?
Yeah.
So there's a clip of his that I see all the time on TikTok and Instagram and stuff, talking about, and it was an interview of his talking about how you have to be, I'm going to mess it up. Maybe Nathan can play it. I'll send it to him.
Yeah.
About having to be able to be dangerous, capable of being dangerous, but able to control it.
Yeah.
That being kind is not to not mistake kindness for weakness, basically. Yeah. And that being kind is not being weak. You looking for it?
Yeah, you need to have the capacity for danger. You need to be dangerous, but you need to learn how to not use it except when it's necessary. And that is not the same thing as being harmless. Harmless, that's a terrible virtue. It's like a rabbit. There's nothing virtuous about harmlessness.
Yeah, you can't be, exactly. So one of the things that so we're supposed to do like a whole meet and greet thing. It was I think a Father's Day gift or something that my wife and...
Oh, you're actually going to meet the man?
Yeah, we're going to meet him. I'm going with my younger brother.
Can we get him on the show?
I'm going to try. I'm going with my younger brother. His wife and my wife bought us tickets that include like meet and greet and everything. And I'm going to ask him, how do you teach your kid that philosophy without him being a bully? How do you teach him how you have to have the capacity to be dangerous, because being harmless is not virtuous, it's weak.
That's unique because like we all look at the same stuff like on our Twitter feed or TikTok feeds, and like we all perceive things different. So like a 9-year-old boy hears that and he's like, all he hears is I want to be dangerous.
Exactly. So how do you teach him? Because it's the whole idea of you're better off being a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war, right? Right. So I think we all have that knack. Like that's part of what helps us be successful, right?
Right.
Is that you have to be able to take control of a situation. So how do you teach that to your child?
Yeah.
Without him thinking that he's just going to go to the playground and beat the shit out of somebody.
A harmless man is not a good man. A good man is a very dangerous man who has that under voluntary control.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's it.
Right.
Voluntary control.
And the thing too, though, that we have against us that our parents didn't have is our kids have access to that information.
Right.
So they might learn it before we teach them.
Right.
And then you're dealing with a situation with like, why are you behaving this way?
Right.
And your son is at the top of the playground now. I am a warrior. And like we had American Gladiator, but they didn't teach us that message. We just taught us how to get to the top of the playground.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know. It's the world of the unknown. We have more information now than ever, but we have so much that we don't know.
So much to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was completely off topic, but
No, it's funny because these things
raising kids.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I lack is the explanation part of the why.
Yeah.
Like they tell you like I talked about it before, like quit opening and closing the door. I shouldn't have to tell you why. Like
my son locks me outside. Thinks it's funny.
At least you got a garage door opener.
Yeah.
My house I'd have been beat.
Yeah. Figured that out. Now he thinks it's funny.
And you like kind of like when they do those things, you kind of do think it's funny too. I mean, as mad as you want to be, it's like
that's a good one. Yeah.
But like my son goes through this thing where he wants to hide all the time and jump out and scare you. You know?
Okay. Yeah.
So like, is it like it kind of gets annoying? Like, you know, if I'm being honest, it's just like, dude, how many times? But like, you still jump, like act like you're scared, and you know, it's part of their process, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Better than watching TV all day.
Yeah.
Which, you know, hide and seek is developed into boo. And then maybe 5 years from now, he's hitting me up with a paintball gun when I come home.
Right. Yeah.
I'm running for my dear life.
Yeah.
So it's fun. They kind of keep you grounded too. They keep you interested. So, well, it's a lot of information for May 1 episode here.
Yeah.
Inflation will
You're
probably
traveling, right, Jerry, this month?
Yeah, I have a conference in San Antonio this month. You got the Jordan Peterson event this month.
Nice.
Got lots of stuff going on this month.
May's a busy month.
Yeah, May's a busy month.
And my son's birthday. What do you got, Joey?
I got prom season full swing starting probably next week.
Yeah.
Tuxedos will start rolling in big time.
Lots of throw up, I assume.
No, the kids don't drink anymore.
That's true.
There are a lot of gardeners in the war right now.
That's the problem, man.
Yeah. We have the ever famous TBI. It'll be 3 days after this, and if I make it to the next episode, it'll be another miracle accomplished. That's a rough day for me. Get along with some good buddies that I don't get to spend too much time with without the wives and kids around.
We have a couple big guests this month, I know. Scheduled.
Yeah, some scheduled guests. Memorial Day at the end of the month. I mean, May's a big month. It kicks off the
sister's
summer.
birthday, my niece's birthday.
Yeah, I mean,
kinds of stuff.
Kind of kicks off the summer months, which change everything.
Yeah,
so,
should be a good time.
Baseball kicking up.
Yeah.
So,
hopefully Paul Skeens comes up this month.
Dude, he got shelled today.
Gave up one run.
They said he was working on some stuff, which is funny to think.
Curveball.
Yeah, but Buckos are relevant. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe we'll have a signed mechanical permit by the next episode. I'm working on.
So. Yeah, we'll see.
If anybody knows, May 1, we better have an architect by then. If not, if you're an architect out there and you need work, come on, get. So, all right, boys. Well, always a pleasure.
Yeah. That's a wrap.
Hit it, Joe.
Thanks, guys.
Take it easy, guys.
Thank you for listening to Between Two Bridges, a business-to-business podcast. Find and follow us on your preferred podcast streaming platform. Like and subscribe, and leave us a rating and review. You can join us socially on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Yes, we still call it Twitter. You can email the show at info@betweentwobridgespodcast.com. Until next time, make it till you rake it.